What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of the AST Call-In Show. I'm Noah Strackbine. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talker. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. Shout out to all of our members as always. If you want to become a member, you can do so by clicking the link in the description below or going to youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. We don't have many today, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are in the abyss right now. We are at the time of the NFL offseason where nothing's happening. Most of the league has gone on vacation. The Steelers are making some moves, but not many. And while Deshaun Elliott is a great signing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't think it comes as a move that is big enough to create a splash. It's a minor wave in the Steelers offseason of chaos, and one that is significant, important, and a great move, but maybe not one that gets the tires rolling on some more craziness for the black and gold. But that's all right. I'm excited to dive into what we've got. And for everybody else, make sure that if you are a member, you're calling into all of the AST call-in shows. With that said, I won't hold you guys up any longer. Let's get it kicking.
Hey, no, it's Jay calling you. Sorry, been out of pocket, been up in the outback Canada, doing a little fishing, looking for Aaron Rodgers. Little did I know he was in Pittsburgh signing the deal, but I'm back. But I wanted to let you know you need to talk to Jacob.
Okay.
When I got back, I had to drive by my ledge, had to check it out. He started talking about Skylar Thompson, how great he looked. Freaked me out a little bit. So I did a little drive, sat out on the ledge, did a little inner stuff. I'm good. So we're all right there. First off,
yes,
Roman versus Calvin. If Roman takes a huge leap next year, Calvin plays great this year. You know, the Steelers don't like to pay too many wide receivers. What do? Can we keep Calvin on a low enough salary that we can keep Roman the following year when Roman blows up in his third year?
Yeah.
2, Broderick Jones. Did we ever figure out what was wrong with his arm? Is it better? Was it fixed? And I want to see Myles Garrett try to get through Broderick Jones and Mount Washington.
Yes, love
3, it. Rodgers running. Are we going to do the push? I don't think so. But over-under on Rodgers' yards this year, 15, 20, maybe?
I like it.
And finally, bench sit cut. This is an easy one.
All right.
Buffalo winner, Philadelphia winner,
okay,
Pittsburgh winner.
That is an easy one.
Thanks, Noah. Talk to you. See ya.
Shout out. We needed some questions today. It was a little low on the questions today, and we got a couple here, and I'm very grateful for it because I needed something to answer. I was too jazzed up this morning to dive in here and not spend some time with you guys. Let's start with Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson. That's a good one. I look at it as the Steelers can get ahead of this and not have to worry about it. Because if they sign Calvin Austin this offseason, he's getting anywhere from $6 to $10 million a season, which is not expensive. And in the wide receiver market, that's as cheap as it gets. It's for a wide receiver 3, it's even better. And you want him around. Like the Steelers, like every other team, want at least 4 good wide receivers. That's what they want. Because you're going to utilize all 4 of them. If somebody goes down, you need somebody else to fill a role. You can't just have 3. You need at least 4. And if nobody's a rock star, if Roman Wilson or Calvin Austin aren't like a superstar wide receiver 1, no questions asked, then you need at least 3 or 4 so that you could have some depth just in case. So I think the Steelers can get ahead of this. I think they could sign Calvin Austin this offseason to a 2-year, maybe a 3-year deal, about $6 to $10 million a season. Then next year, if Roman Wilson goes off this year, you do the exact same thing. If Roman has a big season, you sign him to a 2-year, $10 million deal, a year deal. That's what you're looking for. Get ahead of the game, pay these guys cheap so that DK Metcalf could take up a majority of your wide receiver cap space. And then when he nears the end of his deal, you could go out and do something else. Or you could, if you don't get a wide receiver this year, which is why I think Gabe Davis makes so much sense for the Steelers because they're not looking for a long-term commitment. If they can do that this year and fill that role, and then next year draft somebody or the year after that draft somebody, whenever, they have control of that player for X amount of years as well. So they can, again, get ahead of the game. And then by the time that they need to pay that guy, it's a whole other round of conversation and situation when it comes to their cap space. But I think if you pay Calvin now, you set yourself up to be able to pay Roman next year and not run into any trouble. And I think the Steelers are looking that way, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. When it comes to Broderick Jones, last year, it was the elbow. I watched it happen. I remember at a training camp, he pushed off and immediately grabbed his elbow, and he like walked off. He was shaking it. Afterwards, he told me that it was a stinger and that everything was totally fine. He played throughout the season, but it was definitely bothering him. I hear that he's pretty close, if not 100%, and it shouldn't be an issue on the left side. We'll see if he's better. I hope he is. Like, I hope Roman Wilson's better, or not Roman Wilson, Broderick Jones is better. I like Broderick a lot. I think he's got a ton of talent. I think he's super raw, and if you could develop him the right way, it's going to work out. And I also think he's a great teammate. So I'm all about Broderick. I'm rooting for him. We're going to see what happens this season, and if he could get better. But I think elbow-wise, he's pretty good. There was another question in there as well. We'll get to it. And then the sit bench cut, which is the Buffalo, the Philadelphia, and the Pittsburgh Winters. And that's an easy one, to be really honest. And people might be a little surprised at the way we're going here. But I'm starting Philadelphia Winters at all times. I'm from that side of the state. It is nothing compared to this. Like it's Pittsburgh Winters. First off, snowplows don't exist. So at least in Philadelphia, roads are probably clean and it's definitely more flat. Pittsburgh is as hilly as any city can get. It is never, ever, 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 ever plowed. Ever. It is ridiculous how it's never plowed. And when it starts snowing, sometimes it doesn't end ever. And it's freezing cold. Philadelphia, it melts fast. I think it's the grossness and the garbage in the air, but it goes away pretty quick. It doesn't get crazy super cold. I'm going Philadelphia. Buffalo could get the hell out of here. Buffalo's gone. I will never, ever go to Buffalo after like November 15th ever again in my whole life until March. And I think even in March, I just can't do it. So we're starting Philly. We're benching Pittsburgh and Buffalo. I'm not even cutting, dude. I am potentially asking them to retire. That's how far we're going. There is another question here. We got to go back through it because I did miss one of these.
Hey, no, it's Jay calling you. Sorry, been out of pocket, been up in the outback Canada, doing a little fishing, looking for Aaron Rodgers. Little did I know he was in Pittsburgh signing the deal, but I'm back.
All right.
But I wanted to let you know you need to talk to Jacob. When I got back, I had to drive by my ledge, had to check it out. He started talking about Skylar Thompson, how great he looked. Freaked me out a little bit. So I did a little drive, sat out on the ledge, did a little inner stuff. I'm good. So we're all right there.
I'm glad.
First off,
Calvin
Roman versus Calvin. If Roman takes a huge leap next year, Calvin plays great this year. You know, the Steelers 100%. Don't like to pay too many wide receivers. What do? Can we keep Calvin on a low enough salary that we can keep Roman the following year when Roman blows up in his third year?
Yes.
2, Broderick Jones. Did we ever figure out what was wrong with his arm? Is it better? Was it fixed? And I want to see Myles Garrett try to get through Broderick Jones and Mount Washington. 3, Rodgers. Rodgers running. Are we going to do the push? I don't think so. No. But over-under on Rodgers yards this year, 15, 20, maybe? And
all right, the sit bench cut. Start bench cut. All right, so the one thing I did miss on Broderick, which I apologize, I don't believe he had off-season surgery. I think it was just something that needed time to heal, and I think he gave it time to heal. When it comes to Rodgers, I'd go over under 50 yards. I think he's going to run some. Rodgers is not a guy who just never does anything. Rodgers always seems to be a little sneakier than you want him to be. So I think a couple of times this season he takes off for a couple of yards here and there. Nothing crazy. I would go 50 yards. I'd go 50 yards on Rodgers. That's what I do.
Hey, Noah, Jacob.
Yo.
It's Patrick from Maryland.
Yes, sir.
AKA Enigma After Dark.
Hey, what's good?
I just got to say, I am absolutely freaking pumped.
Yes, sir.
I'm ready for the season to start already.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
ready for it to start right now. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers.
Yes, sir.
One of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. I never thought I'd be able to say that about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Never thought we would make these type of big splash moves in the offseason. I have clamored for it practically my entire life. And here we are. We go get Aaron Rodgers. We go get DK Metcalf.
Yes,
I'm here for all of it. I'm ready to go
yes,
immediately.
Sir.
That being said,
mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers, don't let all the noise, all the naysayers, that darkness retreat has not shaded your boy from hearing y'all. He knows who you are. He knows what you said. He's going to make you eat your words, Fear Factor style. It won't be fun, and it won't be pretty. I cannot wait for it. I cannot wait for it. We need it. However,
yes, sir.
I got three questions.
Okay.
That I want you to talk about.
Okay.
We got Aaron Rodgers for 1 year.
Yep.
Is this as far all in as we're going to go? I feel like we got to make another move. A big move. It's got to be something more. The Rams went and got Stafford. They went and got OBJ. They went and got Von Miller. When the Bucks went all in, they got Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, two of the greatest before they even stepped foot in the city. We need something as great as Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf are. I feel like there's still one more piece that we have to add to this roster before we can really say we're all in to the level that the other teams who went all in did. Secondly, Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf.
Yes, sir.
That's the greatest duo the Steelers have had since Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
How are they going to stack up and measure up to their level of greatness? How will they meet that?
Love it. All right. First off, if you're not ready to run through a brick wall right now, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're. I don't know how you're not ready to just literally look at anybody in front of you, tackle them full force. That's the emotions that I feel we should have. All right. Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, missing piece. The way I look at it is pretty simple. Like, the Steelers are going to try to go get a new piece and that last edition, but they got to go into training camp before they make that decision. They have to see what they have, what's in front of them, what's on the table. How good is DK Metcalf? How good is the offensive line? Where does that final piece need to be? It can't just be, let's just go get the one guy that's available. It's got to be a calculated strategic move. And you got to go into training camp before you do that. Because if you go get a Trey Palmer or a Gabe Davis, who cares? You know, it doesn't do anything. A Jonnu Smith only if you really realize you need it. A Kyle Pitts only if you really realize you need it. But you got to be calculated. They got to know where they need to be and how they need to go about filling that last space. That has to be the case, because if you just go get anybody, I think it comes back to bite you in the butt. At least it has a possibility to. So you got to be calculated at that final move. And I think they're going to be. I think it's going to happen at some point. When it comes to where Rodgers and DK are, I mean, it's easily number 2 to Ben and Antonio Brown since the end of that. I mean, there hasn't been anybody else. Maybe Ben and Deontay. That was a good connection, but it was a young connection. Ben and Juju, I guess, was pretty all right, but not like game changing. It was Ben and AB and Aaron Rodgers and DK have an opportunity to be those guys. Russ and George Pickens had opportunities to be those guys. It's now Rodgers and DK. And I'm excited to see what happens. I think that they have a ton of potential when it comes to adding that guy, that final piece. I truly believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers may have enough because of Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf. He might be that superstar that you need alongside Rodgers. I still think they're going to look, but I do think those two are going to be that good. All right. We got a couple more as we close this off, but first we're going to take a quick break. We will be right back.
This one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. One more time. Shout out to all of our members. Shout out to everybody who called in, and let's keep it trucking.
My bad. I didn't meet the mark. I'm sorry. That's my fault. I was a little too excited.
Enigma after
Sorry,
dark, man. It's
everybody.
always good.
I said, secondly, how will Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf measure up to Ben and AB?
Yes, sir.
My third thing is, where does our wide receiver room stack up in the division? Because you got Baltimore with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins. You got Cincinnati with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and nameless gray faces out there. And then Cleveland, I believe it's Jerry Jeudy and Deontay Johnson, which is ironic. We could literally be lining up across from Pickett and Deontay Johnson this year, which is
twice a year.
That's funny. but they got Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson, and whoever else in Cleveland. Where's our wide receiver room stacking up in that division? Let me know. Love the show. Appreciate
you as always, my friend. I think it stacks up third. I obviously Cincinnati's got them beat, by a mile and a half, maybe. They have most teams beat though by a mile and a half. Number two, I think I'd give it to Baltimore. I think Zay Flowers is emerging as a star. Rashad Bateman is a reliable set of hands. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely got to be included into that. Justice Hill has to be included into that. I think they're a pretty quality core. DeAndre Hopkins is the veteran who I don't know what he's got left, but his name's DeAndre Hopkins. And until he retires, he's a factor on the field at all times. So I would go them third, but I think it's just a slight edge. And maybe it's just because they've been together, so you already have seen what they can do. But I think it's a slight edge over Pittsburgh. But the Steelers are not far behind from them. DK Metcalf surpasses anybody in Cleveland. I think Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson have an opportunity to be guys, but I think Calvin Austin has proven enough to be a reliable set of hands and a speedster that you could utilize if utilizing correctly. So I believe he gives the Steelers a sound number 3 at bare minimum. You have the Pat Freiermuth that I have a ton of confidence in. You have the Jalen Warren. You have the Kenneth Gainwell. There are names out there. If you add a number 2, I think there's an argument to be made that they're number 2 in the division. That if you could go out and get even a Gabe Davis, there's an argument to be made that they could surpass Baltimore. Now, you're going to have to prove that, but I think it gives them a fighting shot. Whereas right now, I'd say they're slightly behind Baltimore, but it's close. And then I'd say Cleveland is number 4 because I think Deontay is really good. I think Jerry Jeudy's really good, but they don't have much else. And I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of David Njoku. And when it comes to the rest of the group, I just don't see a star anywhere. I don't see a DK Metcalf anywhere. I don't see a Zay Flowers or a Jamar Chase or even a T Higgins anywhere on any of these rosters or on the Cleveland roster, because that I'd go forth on the Cleveland Browns.
Hey, Noah, it's Marlon. Told you I'd be more active. I've been in the chat for a while, and I'm curious because I know a lot of analysts do talk about the draft class, the quarterback class anyways, from next year and how it's supposed to be deep. But because it's so early, we are unsure. Obviously, you talked about Aaron Rodgers potentially coming back next year. If it goes bad and the quarterback depth in the draft isn't big, do you think that the Steelers could make a look or take a look at someone like a Kyler Murray, maybe a Trevor Lawrence next year if it goes bad again this year, and maybe some of those quarterbacks who were first round guys 3, 4, 5 years ago who are wearing out their welcome where they currently are and need a place to go? Do you think that's something that we could explore? Thank you.
So here's the pushback, the argument against that one, the devil's advocate. If the season goes south and things go really wrong, the Steelers are in a better spot to go draft somebody, which probably means they're most likely going to. The Steelers are on the verge right now of they are so desperate to end this circus of a quarterback rotation that they just want to have a guy who's going to be here for 15 years. And the next time they get one, they're not going to let him go. He's going to be the next Ben. He's going to be here for life. But they are very desperate and growing more desperate by the year to have that situation and to finally end this chaos and the turnover at the quarterback position. So I believe more than anything, it is the most likely outcome that they go after a quarterback first round, very high in the draft next year. They just want it to end. However, you never know what's going to happen in the draft. You never know what's going to happen in a college football season. You never know if everybody's going to turn out to be terrible, and Arch Manning and Garrett Newsomer and Nico, whatever his name is, from UCLA, and Lenore Sellers and all these guys, they don't leave. And the Steelers don't have options. And they're looking at Carson Beck right in the face going, you're not going to be our next Kenny Pickett. It's not going to happen. If that's the case, I think they make some phone calls. I do. Because I don't think they made phone calls to go see if Trevor Lawrence was there, but I wouldn't be stunned if the Steelers, if somebody from Pittsburgh was casually talking to somebody from Jacksonville and was just like, you know what? Maybe in a hypothetical, what would you give up Trevor Lawrence for? What would that be? I think that somebody somewhere had interest, and I think that would grow. So I wouldn't say no, but I don't think it has anything to do with this season going south. I think it has everything to do with how the quarterback class turns out and what things look like come next April, February, even early January or late January, where you're looking at it going, all right, these guys are fantastic. There's too many options. The Steelers are going to move on. Or they're looking at it going, this is awful. This class stinks. We're not getting Kenny Pickett. We passed on Shedeur last year because we thought he was going to be Kenny Pickett. We're just going to wait another year, which would be really tough. And the Steelers would be really unhappy about that situation. But I do think that's the way that would change. And guys like Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence, and maybe even like an Anthony Richardson, maybe even a veteran like a Geno Smith, if he's available, all of those guys become options for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that's how that would go down. All right. With that said, guys, I'm heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of the AST Call-In Show. Shout out, as always, to our members and to everybody who called in. Can't thank you enough. These are awesome. They always get my Wednesday sparking, and I'm excited to keep them going as we go into the abyss, where things are quiet and there's not much going on, but the Steelers still have some questions that need answered. And I think we're going to get those answers during this abyss, which is good. Keep some excitement in a time where you're just waiting for football season to start. But once again, shout out to everybody. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalker. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. Please, please, please go to Apple Podcasts, hit that 5-star review, download all. Can't thank you guys enough for that. And as always, find all my work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. I'll be back later for the flagship show. Until then, enjoy another Beautiful day in the Berg.